We're going to switch gears here a little bit, taking a look now inside of Wayne State University this morning at the Gretchen Seaveley Jazz Center, where preps are underway for tonight's mayoral debate. Tonight, 4 of the candidates will be squaring off, telling Detroiters why they should be the one to lead the city into the future. Let's take a look at this full screen here. You can see last month, Local 4, along with the Detroit News, did a poll to see who is leading the charge to be the city's next mayor. We used these numbers to establish a threshold of who can take part in this debate. We set a threshold of 10% with a 4% margin of error. So if anybody had 6% of support or up, would be able to take part in the debate tonight. Those who made the threshold will be debating tonight: Saunteel Jenkins, Solomon Kinloch Jr., Mary Sheffield, and James Craig. Now, ahead of tonight's debate, I met up with Jason Colthorp, a moderator of Flashpoint, and the debate tonight about what we should expect on that stage. Welcome to the Gretchen Seaveley Jazz Center here on the campus of Wayne State University, home of Local 4's mayoral debate, and this guy right here, Jason Colthorp. The debate starts tonight, 7 o'clock, I believe. 7
o'clock, and we'll actually have a crowd in here.
People will come.
People will come. Each candidate, I think it's 20 tickets for whomever, but they won't have anyone in the front row. That was all kind of agreed upon where they would sit and everything. They'll get, the rest of the crowd will get instructions, let them know, hey, we'd like you not to applaud, not to cheer, boo, all that stuff, until when the candidates get introduced and when we say goodnight. So hopefully they're well behaved, and we know that sometimes the crowd likes to get involved, but hopefully not.
Speaking of well-behaved, are you expecting this to be a contentious debate? Do you think it'll be...
I don't know. I was asking a couple of insiders on Flashpoint. I feel like each of the 4 candidates could have a very distinct game plan.
Sure.
Then that just goes back to the polling that we did, which is also important to point out how we chose these 4 candidates, which we put a poll in the field with Detroit News, conducted by Glenn Gariff Group. And it basically said, and we're asking Detroit voters, not just Detroit voters, ones who plan to vote in the primary, who would you vote for right now? Anyone who got 10%, or counting the plus minus of 4%, so 6% or higher, was invited, and that was these 4 candidates. But the same poll also asked Detroiters, hey, what's most important to you? So it's also important to point out the questions aren't Jason Colthorp's questions or Channel 4's, or even, our partners with the Michigan Chronicle will have a question, and the AARP, but these are questions that come directly from Detroiters. These are your issues in the most important, ranked in the order of importance that you have them. So
are we allowed to say what they are yet? We probably shouldn't.
Questions?
Yeah.
No, I'm never. Come on. Our web team actually was like, hey, do you have an idea? I'm like, whoa. I'm gonna have to get clearance just
under wraps for a little while.
Show you the topics there.
What I found interesting so far, the conversations I've had in Detroit, people are, I don't know if concerned is the right word, but they're waiting to see whoever the next mayor is going to be, how they're going to fill the shoes of Mike Duggan. Right. You look at him running as an independent for governor is very telling in the way that his mind has worked on trying to get things done in the city of Detroit. And whoever the next mayor is probably needs to do the exact same thing, because Detroit is on the right path right now, but that's because you've got both sides, they all working together to get most of the things done. I don't think the revitalization would have happened without his leadership and bringing in all the corporate money and all the partners and both sides of the aisle to the same table.
And that's been a topic that these candidates have gotten asked, as well as other ones. How do you plan to keep that going? And most of them kind of coalesce around the idea that we're going to keep on with the business community and do what he did there. But what these candidates in this race, at least the ones I've heard speak, say that they'll do differently than Mike Duggan is pay more attention to the neighborhoods. The message has got to get out past downtown. Now, if you talk to Mike Duggan, he would argue that that's a big misnomer, that he hasn't done enough in the neighborhoods. That's his argument, not mine. But that the candidates are trying to separate themselves in that way, and yet in other ways trying to also make sure that if you liked what you saw because of A, B, and C, then I'm going to keep that going, that sort of thing. And the business community rallying them around has been one of the rallying calls.
So from the candidates, obviously all 4 have their different goals in mind, but what do you think is going to be one of the key messages from them as they try to win this race?
I think that part, I really think it could be anything.
Yeah.
I know they're all going to probably focus on getting out into the neighborhoods, improving neighborhoods, and you still drive around a lot of major corridors and you see boarded up buildings
Absolutely.
and places that need help. Going back to, I think you asked it a few questions ago, just about when I was mentioning the polling, any of them could have a different strategy Monday night, because if you're Mary Sheffield and you're way out in front, if you believe the validity of that poll, and we've always had good luck with Glenn Gariff Group and Richard Juba, but her obviously game plan could be playing keep away. Reverend Solomon Kinloch Jr., he was second place with 14%. And then 9% for James Craig, 8% for Saunteel Jenkins. So that cluster of three candidates is within 5 points, and there's 22% undecided.
Right.
So each of them could go after the other. I guess they could try and take voters away from Mary Sheffield, but Mayoral, who we've mentioned, he said they probably won't try and steal voters from Reverend Kinloch. His supporters are
his
probably
base is kind of locked in.
That base is a locked base.
Right.
So you have 22% undecided, but James Craig supporters could try and get Saunteel's or vice versa, or some of Mary Sheffield. But I kind of think it seems, maybe it's just because it seems like the obvious thing, that those three might kind of go after each other.
Yeah. So do you think it is the neighborhoods that might be the topic that flips the undecided voters?
I think it's neighborhoods, and more if they have that plan to what the plan is. If we hear more than just, well, we're going to work harder and get out into the neighborhood.
Sure. But, like an actual concrete plan, not just a message.
Yeah, and crime still remains one of the top concerns with a lot of people.
Which I'm sure James Craig will probably hone in on.
Right. You have a former police chief who you would think would have an advantage there, but we'll see how much importance he puts on that. He's also stressed, being the only Republican in the race, that he is at least in the last debate, made a point that the ARPA funds are running out, federal funding is running out with Detroit, and you're going to need someone to work with Washington, and he's the guy who can do that. That's what he says. So, we'll see what the issue. I think crime, neighborhoods, affordable housing is very big. And we've seen Mike Duggan, that was one of his things that he always was unveiling a new affordable house. But it's still, Detroiters know, not only do they want more affordable housing, but what are you also going to do to make sure that existing residents who've been there for a long time
don't get forgotten,
don't get bumped out. Gentrification.
Yeah. So this is the stand. This is where you're going to be, right here.
Right
this
there.
This is it.
Yep.
The Jason Colthorp. Oh, don't.
You get a little
there's notes
sneak
back
peek.
there. Don't look.
There's notes.
Don't look.
There's questions under there somewhere.
Okay, 7 o'clock tonight. Good luck. Have fun, man.
All right. I don't know about fun, but we'll show up. We'll give it a go.
He's going to do great. Don't forget to watch the debate tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus. And tomorrow morning, we're going to have a full roundtable right here on Local 4 Live to talk about that debate, kind of wrap it all up and get some expert opinion. That's tomorrow morning on Local 4 Live here on Local 4 Plus.